So hello, everybody. My name is Joana, for a few that don't know me, and I will be responsible for today's talk. As you can imagine, I will be talking about a subject that I know a lot, myself. So I'll be talking a little bit about my journey and how I ended up working in tech after working as a physical therapist for more than 10 years. If you want to interrupt me at some point, feel free, and let's start the show. How it all started. When I was a child, while I was growing up, I never knew what I wanted to be as an adult. So when people ask me that question, I would answer something like a magician just for fun. Even when I did the psychotechnical exams in school, I don't know if you know what it is, but it's an exam that you do in the 8th, 9th grade to give you some ideas of which fields you should pursue. The results that were that I should pursue the career as a clown. It's true. I do like makeup, but not that much. So what should I be? Every time I talk to my parents and I ask them what I should pursue, they told me that I should be doing something related to healthcare, like a doctor or a nurse, which is kind of sad because I almost pass out every time I see a needle. They never talked to me about the IT world. In fact, when I was telling my mom about this presentation, I told her that the theme was that woman in IT. And her reaction was if I was going to the IT, the country, to learn more about the woman there. It's true. So my knowledge, as you can imagine, about IT was that were a bunch of guys that work in a cave and they do know how to fix computers. So going back to my childhood, don't you think it's funny that my parents suggested a profession related to healthcare, knowing that this field is 76% women? My parents are both elementary school teachers, and I asked them to do something for me. I asked them to do a test, an activity, to read out the following list and ask for hands up if they think it was a girl thing, or no hands up if they thought it was a boy thing. The class is the second year students, and the class consisted of 10 boys and 9 girls. So let's see the results. Here are some activities. Dancing. Who do you think won? You can say in the chat if you want.
Girls.
Girls. Exactly. Girls. 70 kids of 19 associated with girls. Cooking, the same. Teaching.
Girls.
I guess the same.
Exactly. The color pink.
Girls.
Also.
Exactly. The color blue.
Boys.
Yeah, but it was one kid that associated with girls, the rebel one. Doctor.
Boys.
No, girls. It changed, really.
Amazing. That's amazing.
That's
Yeah, it's great. It's a great change because they mostly thought that the nurse will be a girl and the doctor will be a boy. No, it's all women. Cars.
Boys.
Exactly. Beer.
Boys.
Yeah, but for associated with girls, it's not. It's a progress. Scientist. Boys.
Boys.
Yeah.
Lawyer.
Boys.
Exactly, boys. Now for the main theme, engineer. Who do you think they associated with?
Boys.
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 Of course, 4 associated with girls, 15 associated with boys. Computers.
Boys. Boys again.
It's boys, but it's balance. So it's a progress.
Much better.
Yeah, I don't know if it was because of the pandemic that everyone needed to learn to work with a computer for school and everything. So it's a progress, it's balance. Boys and girls can be associated with computers. Math. Who do you think won?
I'm afraid to guess now.
Nope, it's associated with boys, just like the engineering. So, as you can see, the social gender bias starts at an early age. In fact, if we search for videos on YouTube, we will see that kindergarten kids know that boys are different than girls and they should dress the same and or play the same games. But if you ask them why, they don't know how to answer that. So I want to ask you, do you remember during your childhood some behavior that looking back you think were an unconscious bias? I can start by saying that in my house, my grandma, when we were eating, she always served first the boys, the men of the house. That's unconscious bias, that's how she was raised. Do you remember something like that? Like the toys they give you to play? Something?
Yeah, I remember asking for toys more related to boys and getting that answer of it's not for girls, so no.
Exactly, we can change that. So going back to these results and seeing that engineering is mostly associated with boys, but that the progress is being made in the computers, I think we need to do a final effort to show the world of IT to anyone who grows up not playing the computer games. At least everybody should be aware of the different roles and how it works so that the kids, when they are making the future decisions, they are fully aware of what they want. So what did I pursue? When it was time for me to decide, what should I do with my life? I choose, of course, a healthcare profession, but with no needles involved. I choose the physical therapy and I really like it. I did my course. I began to work. I worked as a freelancer. I worked in a clinic. I even went to France for 1 year, a fun and a different experience. So I'm working in a clinic and in a field where mostly are women. So do you think I experienced some kind of difference just because I was a woman? Of course I did. That does not mean anything. It's in the society. Little things like the older patients, they call the man therapist, the doctor, and the girls, they call the miss, for example. If a patient was being treated by a male physical therapist, they asked for the woman to dress him after the treatment. I always answer no, of course, but they did that. I also worked in a soccer club and I got a proposal to join for a big club, Porto. If you don't know this club, you don't like football. And I asked them for the specifics of the contract and the career progression. I give them credit. They were truly honest. They told me that they were searching for a woman physical therapist just for the younger kids so that she could take care of them and it will never pass from that because they did not want a woman disrupting the players' concentration. So I said no. After 10 years of working as a physical therapist, I had my first contact with the tech area through a former boyfriend who worked on IT and introduced me to people that work on IT. I saw an opportunity and I talked to one of them to start a partnership as a physical therapist in Mandira. So I started working as a physical therapist in Mandira, and that's when I had full knowledge of the tech world, from the different roles like the PO, the FQA, delivery lead, designers, women resources, operations, different methodologies like Agile, X programming, Kevin, Waterfall, different routines that some minders would like to work in the morning, others like better in the night, and that's okay. Also, the different culture. It's a self-organization company with great parties, and I learned that all during the sessions. Some minders talk. Of course, I fell in love with it. And I talked to some minders and asked them for orientations. I did some online courses. I started with the first 3 courses that you can see in Coursera to get a full knowledge of the software world. And I thought that for me, the natural progression was that I should be moving from finding defects in people, in posture, to finding defects in software and ways to improve it. So the next courses that I did, online courses, were in that direction to become a QA. During the pandemic, I was in house arrest. So I intensified the study. And as soon as an opening appeared, I apply, and the rest is history. I'm working as a QA analyst for 1 year now, and I really love what I'm doing. I realize it do something different or to change completely your life, and we can always do that. As the image says, you are not a tree, so if you don't like where you are, you should move. I wish I knew this as a teenager, but there is always time. I have an amazing team that treat me as equal. I can happily say that I never experienced any judgment just for being a woman. I do recognize that it can exist, and listening to the other talks, I should be aware of the signs, and even if it happens unconsciously, I will always should raise awareness and fight for what we think is fair, and never settle for nothing less than we deserve. To finish it up, and since we are celebrating Women in Tech Month, let's play a little quiz game with 5 of the most important women in tech and their contribution. Here we can see Ada Lovelace, famous for A, being a great cooker, B, inventing GPS, or C, the first programmer.
C.
See.
A? Who said it? The right answer is C. She is the first programmer. I'm not going to read all the tests, but it's an explanation of what she did. She was a mathematician and writer. Next one, Grace Hopper. Is she famous for A, cell phones turned smart, B, developed the first English data processing compiler, C, Facebook?
B.
B.
Exactly. Yes, she was. She was a pioneer of computer programming who invented one of the first linkers.
And she actually coined the term bug because there was a big bug on her call. A live bug. Like.
That's funny. Another one, Annie Easley, famous for remote control, internet, or developing implemented code, which led to the development of battery used in hybrid cars.
C.
See, exactly. I think there's also a movie about her and another 3 women that were mathematicians. It's the Hidden Figures, I think. Another one, Mary Wilkes. Is she famous for helping develop the first personal computer, developing digital camera, or developing Zoom?
Probably A.
Exactly. She was also the first person to have a personal computer in her home. And last one, Radia Perlman. She's famous for A, doing an electrical handstand. I would like to know that. B, running a marathon. Or C, spanning 3 algorithms.
C.
Exactly. Yeah. And thank you, everybody. It was short and sweet, I hope. If you have any questions, please raise them.
Joana, I'm sorry if I missed that, but what was your true calling to move to IT? Do you think, was it the Mindera experience, or was the technology?
So from my point, it was the 2 things, the Mindera experience and the people that work there. And after that, when they were talking about what they were doing in terms of practice of evolution, I got curious because I have no clue how the software area works or how a development of the app happens. So I started to investigate it, and I did like it. But the first thing, the impression was the Mindera people, everything. That's what triggered to find out more and to see if I really like the technology.
Do you miss being a physical therapist?
No, because I also work as a physical therapist. I do house calls, not every day, but from time to time. So I can do both.
So if you didn't do that, you feel you would miss, you like that human contact, also proximity, and like being like a magician, because a coder is a little bit like a magician, but I think that a physical therapist has bigger magician powers.
Yeah, I like the balance. So I can feel that I can help people directly. And I also can do something that I really love too, that's working technology and working for now in apps, in mobile apps. So I really do like the balance. About the social part, yeah, because now I'm working from home, but if I come to the office, I think I will be dealing with a lot of people.
Yeah, but it's a bit different when you treat someone. The person thanks. It's has a big thank you feeling for you. Any people you treat, and maybe in IT is not so intense. And I don't know if that is something that promotes a lot the love for the things someone does, feeling that the person is thanked for. So I imagine that's different in physical therapy. It's more intense.
Yeah, you are right, because it's a direct contact and you will see that they are getting better day by day. I treated mostly kids also in the clinic, so it's cool to see the kids growing up and being better. So
Exactly.
yeah, but you can balance that.
Yeah. I have another question. I think it's the last one. You at a certain point you said that you wish you knew something before, and now I think regarding your career and the options you did, is there any self-advice that you would give to the younger Joana, if you could?
Yes, definitely, because I really did not have full knowledge of the IT area, not any knowledge at all. And if I think that if I knew that at the time, I will explore more and maybe pursue that career sooner. I think so, yeah, because I did love math, for example.
So you can now start thinking about moving to be a coder.
Exactly, yeah. I'm starting to do some courses to learn programming and to see if I can not be just a QA analyst, but a QA engineer. Yes, I'm trying to do that transition.
Great.
And with the help of Maya, for example, that is in my team. Any more questions? So I think that now, thank you for listening. I will pass it to Ana.
Thank you, Joana. It was a really great presentation, and I think it will be really helpful for transitioning to my slides. And I will use you as an example of what we're talking. So thank you so much. Just like a side note, the last exercise that you did was really interesting, and that made me remind that I studied a master's in London. I will talk about that later, but they took us on an excursion to the facilities where the Second World War, where Alan Turing discovered or cracked the encryption mechanism of the Germans. And they never mention the women coders. So they just mentioned volunteering and all the men that were part of it, and women were just answering phones. And that wasn't true. I mean, if you read the history, there were a lot of women coding and decoding, and it was impressive. And they don't mention that in the facilities. And I was a bit disgusted by that when I read there, and we were discussing it with our professor, and he was just like, "It is what it is, you know." And I was like, "But why?" But yeah, we should mention more all the stuff that women have accomplished. So let me just share here my screen. I think you can see now my screen, right?
Yeah.
Should be able to see it. Cool. Do this. So perfect. Okay. Well, I'll try to keep it as short as what I really want. My talk is called Hacks to Hack Your Way in the IT world, more specifically into the cybersecurity world, which is what I do right now. I want to share with you guys how did I ended up here today, where it all started, and the challenges that I faced during my journey. So it all started in Mexico. I'm Mexican. So when I graduated from high school, I decided that I wanted to study outside my hometown. And a little bit of context, my hometown is really small. It's one of those traditional towns that women just stay home until they get married. And if you go out with your boyfriend, you need a chaperone and stuff like that. So it was really, really traditional town. So deciding that I wanted to leave that town when I was only 18 years old was a huge decision. The right thing that my mom was always supportive of me, so she empowered me to go to the big city. So I did. I went to a bigger city and I started college. I actually started as a 3D animation bachelor because one of my major dreams was to be part of Pixar and to see my name on the credits at the end of the movie. So I'm one of those weird people that say until the last of the movie when the credits end, because I like to see all the names that were part of that project, because my dream was to see my name there. So yeah, I still do that. And another dream was to be part of the Google Doodle team. So I don't know if you guys have seen that sometimes in important dates, Google substitutes the logo for an animation or a game or whatever. And I was really amazed by that. I mean, it was something really simple, or maybe some people really don't care, but I really like it. And I want to be part of that Google Doodle team. So yeah, I started 3D animation, but unfortunately, I only were there for one semester. I realized that I loved the idea of working at Pixar or Google, but I didn't have the skills. And I don't mean that technical skills, because I believe those can be learned. But there are certain natural skills that you need, and I didn't have that. So it was going to be very difficult for me to stand out with that natural skill. And we were like 200 people starting that bachelor, so I didn't like it. So at that point, I started to analyze what else did I like. So if we go back to that Google Doodle example, another thing that intrigued me besides the creativity was what was going behind the logistics of the doodles, right? You have doodles for important dates on specific cities, you have international dates with doodles. You need a whole team for that. So I want to learn more about that back part of the story on the doodles. So I decided to switch to IT engineering. Also, my mom's an engineer, my sister's an engineer, so I think I was also a bit inclined by IT because of that. So when I switched to IT engineering, I love it. I love to be part of the technical side of stuff. I love to be called a geek or a nerd or whatever. I really, really loved it. One of the main issues that I encountered there was that I was the only girl. We were a class of 12 people. It wasn't too much as well, but from 12, I was the only girl. They were really nice people. Some of them are one of my closest friends to date. And even that some of them where I was above them in terms of skill and everything, I felt less than them because I always felt so much pressure to demonstrate that I was worthy of being there among them. You know, only girl in IT engineering, where you will have courses of programming, of electrical circuits, of physics, statistics, and all this stuff. And I was the only girl, and I felt so much pressure. Also, I felt that I had to prove myself to them and to the teachers, which were also all men. You didn't have any women teachers, and I didn't like that. I didn't like the fact that I felt so much pressure to prove myself. And also every time that I needed help or that I had to ask something because I didn't understand the topic, I felt judged. So I felt that if I asked too much, they will realize that I shouldn't be there. But I wanted to be there. I like it to be there. And I don't know if this is a personal feeling or someone else has feel like this sometimes at some point of their lives or their careers, but it shouldn't be like that. And I know that now. I think I knew it at that point, but I was too young to really demonstrate myself to have enough confidence to say whatever I will ask. So after that, I started my first job as a cybersecurity auditor. And again, from a room of 50 people that conformed the whole team, we were only 2 women, 2 out of 50. That was huge, a huge difference. And there I experienced my first, and sadly not the last, case of harassment in the work environment. And at this point, I'm 20 years old because it was a part-time job. So I'm still starting, 20 years old, first formal job, entering the security world. And I had a lot of moments where I felt really uncomfortable and I didn't say anything. But why? Right? And I think there were a lot of reasons. I was really young. It was my first job. I paralyzed. I didn't want them to think that I didn't want to be working there. So I feel scared. I didn't feel that it was a safe place to raise the issue. And also some of the people that made me feel uncomfortable were my direct bosses. So I didn't really know who to talk to. And I don't know, but I didn't do anything about it. And I regret it. And I would love to stop the cycle. We need to make sure that all the women that are entering those careers don't have to go through this. I mean, now we have a safe place and I know that I can raise my voice. But when I started, I didn't know that. And I think that's a critical point. So I would love to help young women and girls that face these issues to be able to speak up. I even lost one of my best friends because we started this job at the same time, but I got a promotion earlier than he did. So he told me once that it was because my boss liked me, and that's why I got promoted. I knew that wasn't because of the promotion, or at least I told myself that wasn't because of that, because I was doing so much more than him, and I had much more responsibilities within the team. So that part didn't hurt me, but truly, truly hurt me was to lose a really good friendship because a woman gets a promotion and a man doesn't. So I'm sure if in that case, I was a man and got the promotion, he wouldn't stop talking to me and we will still be friends. So I learned a lot during this first job, technical stuff and not technical stuff. I love this job. I love the cybersecurity area. I love what I did. And I felt so much passion for it. I just don't like the culture and the environment. So I decided to go somewhere else after a year. So then I got a job at Ernst & Young as a cybersecurity consultant. And this was now my dream job. I was hacking businesses, doing pen testing at all kinds of companies, banks, hospitals, schools, supermarkets, and getting paid for doing it. Of course, this with legal margins, okay? And this is where I realized that I shouldn't be scared of being a woman in the cyber world. My team was formed of 5 people, from which 3 were women. So yeah, finally, we were ruling the world. And during this job, I will have to go to the client's offices, like physically. And sometimes I could feel that they were a bit worried or maybe impacted because women were leading and executing the projects. But also there were a lot of times where they asked for us to be on the projects because they like our work and our results. So we were able to demonstrate that a woman can lead and execute a hacking project. So it was really cool. Sadly, after 2 years, they decided to close the cybersecurity department because the projects were too expensive for the clients, and Mexico wasn't prepared to pay that for cybersecurity projects. So then I moved to Deloitte to continue as a hacker, as a pen tester consultant. And the team was, again, a little bit different, mostly guys again, from Mexico City. So not to judge them, but again, kind of traditional main powers kind of stuff. So I fell under so much pressure again of proving my value. I was working with other senior hackers, men, all men, and I was also senior. But even though we were at the same level, I felt so much less than them, and I shouldn't have. I will end up leading and executing 3 projects at a time, working on 2 of them from 8 a.m. to 7 p.m. and the third one from 11 p.m. to 3 a.m. And doing this for months and months because I was scared of saying no and they thinking that I wasn't good enough to lead and execute the projects. So I was exhausted. I was exhausted to the point that I hit like a break point. So I talked to a manager that I really trusted, and she helped me raise my voice. That stopped. I started saying no. To learn saying no is also really important, and one of the main things that I had to learn on the bad way. So cybersecurity and specifically pen testing and ethical hacking are such a rough area for women. And that's so sad. It's a bummer because this area is about creativity and finding ways to do stuff that we're not supposed to be like that. And women are great at that. Women are really creative. We could be ruling the hacking world, and it's confirmed mainly for men. And not just that, but the men that are now there, they feel women less. So that's not very cool. So after 4 years, more or less, of working as a hacker, I decided that I need a change of era. So I applied for a scholarship to go study a master's degree in information security in the other side of the world. So I moved to London. And I thought that maybe outside of Mexico, it will be different. And during this time also, it was almost the same. So I got to London, I started my master's. We were like 6 students in the class, and we were like 5 women. And I was like, okay, well, at least I have more than 1 woman, right? I saw that the other 4 girls chose the courses related to management and ethics and stuff like that. So I was wondering why they didn't choose malware or cryptography or stuff like that. So I asked them why they choose those courses. And the answer really bumpy. They chose those courses because they were the easiest ones. Because they were just there, like to tick a box for their parents. They didn't want it to be there. Their parents sent them there, and they needed to complete the course. And I felt really sad with that response. And I felt even more pressure to demonstrate that women can be where they are because they chose to. So I chose badly the most technical and difficult courses to demonstrate that a woman can be in those courses. And I like them, okay? I really enjoy them, but I shouldn't be choosing them to prove something. I should be choosing them because I like them, because I wanted to be there. So that kind of thinking is also that I need to improve and to help society to stop that thinking, right? Women can be where they are, choosing major in business or major in information technology because they want to be there, not because they put them there. So yeah, that was the response that they did me. So after finishing my master's, I got an offer to stay to work at the company that I got a part-time job, while studying the master's. So I stayed. And in parallel of my studies and the work, I met this guy, this handsome guy, Portuguese, obviously. And this is the romantic side of the story. We fell in love, we got married, and now we have a cute little Mexican Portuguese baby, hopefully a future hacker. And this part of the story, at the beginning, I always like it to leave it hidden. I didn't want to share this part of the story because people will start to think and to actually say me that I am living in Europe just because I got married. Like I went to Europe and get a European guy to stay here. Not because I studied a master's, I completed my master's, I got a job, and I got a job offer to stay. No, it's just because I went to Europe, get a guy, get married, and stay. And that's just annoying. Like they make invisible all my effort and my work that I have done to be where I am today. And believe me, those comments are more common than you think. So I stay in London, and then COVID came to our lives. So now I'm talking 2020. My baby was born in London. So we decided that we wanted to stay there. And we moved to Porto because my husband's family is here. So family was important, even more important during the pandemic. So we arrived to Porto, and I didn't want to work remotely for the London company. So I started to look for a new job opportunity, and I found Mindera. Mindera found me. And actually, I couldn't be happier of my decision of joining this family. My team here, I think, is one of the first times that I really felt with enough confidence and trust to speak up and to say when I'm not comfortable. My team here at Mindera used to be of 3 people, so again, security is always super small. 2 men and me, but a different concept, you know. Bruno and Arminda were my first team. And they will truly listen to me. You know, it's hard to find. So thank you guys for breaking the barriers for me and being so supportive and empathic as always. Now we are 2 women and 3 men, so we're almost there at 50-50 ratio, but working towards it. And most importantly, I think here at Mindera, I learned that you can have a safe space for opening up, no matter if you're talking to a man or to a woman. They will care about how you feel, how you actually feel, and naturally do something about it. And this is the kind of stuff that we should be promoting and making sure it exists in every workplace at every stage. And I mean every stage, not just because now I'm at the almost end of my career, or I have gone through several works. But if I had found this environment on my first job, it will be so much different, you know, and my thinking will also be different. So I think one of the main problems is that women often don't see tech or even security careers as a viable career path, because or they feel that it's a man world or it's too difficult and we shouldn't be thinking about that, and we need to change this. During my journey, I have learned to embrace who I am and little by little get more confidence about myself. So I present you to myself today, which I'm not afraid or nervous anymore to say that I'm a cybersecurity woman, that I am a mom, I am a wife, and that I am successful. And that the fact of being a mom or a wife does not affect in any way how successful I am in my professional career. So I know this talk is called Hacks to Hack Your Way. So here I present you 6 hacks that I have learned during my journey that they might be helpful for others in their careers. And this is not just for cybersecurity careers, but any other careers. And I think Joana is a perfect example of these hacks that I'm sure she will relate to. So the first one is that as much as possible, get to know yourself, get to know what you really like, what you don't like, what brings you passion, and what makes you want to wake up in the morning and go out, right? The second one is to get a mentor, someone you trust. I believe if on my first job, I will have a mentor, someone just to tell what was happening on their harassments and everything, it will be so much different, not just for me, but for future girls that were going through that job as well, because they kept hiring just women. So if you get someone you trust, you can explain things and they will help you, push you to the next level or accomplish your goals. The third one is to be brave at first. Just try a lot of things. If you want to go into gardening, try different types of gardening, different types of plants, just try everything. And as you learn, you will see what you actually like of that path. And then you can specifically put more time in the things that you actually like. The next one is don't be intimidated. And this is like a quick commercial for Nike, like just do it. Take chances, don't be afraid. And don't stop because you don't have the technical skills. We have Google now, right? We have lots of tutorials. We have Udemy, we have Coursera, we have tons of resources in the internet now. So don't stop because you don't have the technical skills, or you don't know how to code, or you don't know. You can learn that. You just have to be passionate about it. And the last one is to embrace learning, to ask as many questions that you need to ask. It doesn't matter what you think. If you don't understand something, just ask again and again and again and again and again until you feel confident about it. And the last phrase that I want you to leave you with is this one: that women deserve to be wherever they decide to be, know where society puts them or your family puts you. So if I chose a business major, I'm choosing it because I decided that I like it and I want to be there. I shouldn't be judged by that. If I decide to study developer major, I am deciding to study that. You should not judge me by that. And that's it. Thank you so much, guys. I don't know if there's something you would like to share, some experiences or something. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your testimonial. I thought it was very emotional for me hearing that, and thank you very much for the pieces of advice on trying different things, on mentorship and all that. I really believe in those.
Thank you.
Anna, you mentioned mentorship programs that you were part of. Can you name a few for like young women trying to start now? What would they look for?
So I think the best tip that I can give on mentorship is to join as a volunteer in different conferences. That's what helped me. So I started looking for security conferences and just joining as a volunteer. And I will be the assistant of the presentation of a huge speaker, and I will get to know her. And then I will ask her to mentor me and to give me some tips. And that works as networking as well. So starting on conferences of the things that you like, and volunteering as a staff or helping or whatever, that helps a lot. I think it's a great way to start. Also because I am a bit shy at first, so I had to get myself out there, and being volunteer pushed me, but not that much to be like on the focus, you know. So I am there knowing people, but I don't have the whole focus of the thing. So I think it's a great start.
Okay, thank you.
Well, thank you guys. We will share the recording afterwards, right? Thank you.